The cemetery was almost empty as the evening sun stretched long shadows across the rows of silent gravestones. Every year, on the anniversary of her husband's death, billionaire businesswoman Victoria Hayes came alone, leaving behind luxury cars, security guards, and the flashing cameras that followed her everywhere. She carried only a bouquet of white roses and the unbearable weight of a broken heart. But this year, someone else was already kneeling at her husband's grave. A broad-shouldered Navy veteran in a faded green shirt held a small bouquet wrapped in blue ribbon while a little girl stood quietly beside him. Victoria's first instinct was anger. Then the stranger looked into her eyes and calmly revealed a truth that shattered everything she believed she knew about the man she had loved. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing heartfelt stories that inspire millions. Victoria Hayes had everything money could buy. She owned one of America's largest construction companies, lived in a $20 million estate overlooking the ocean, traveled in private jets, and appeared regularly on magazine covers as one of the country's most successful business leaders. Yet every evening she returned to an empty mansion where silence echoed louder than success. 3 years earlier, her husband Daniel had died in what everyone believed was a tragic helicopter accident during a humanitarian mission overseas. His death had left a wound no amount of wealth could heal. Since then, Victoria buried herself in work, pretending strength while carrying endless loneliness. The man kneeling before Daniel's grave was Ethan Brooks, a 36-year-old Navy veteran and single father raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily. Life had not been gentle with Ethan. After years of military service, he returned home carrying invisible scars from combat and the crushing grief of losing his wife to cancer. He worked long hours repairing boats at a small harbor just to keep food on the table. Every dollar mattered. Every morning he fought exhaustion before putting on a smile for Lily, determined that she would never feel the full weight of their struggles. Victoria approached cautiously, confused by the stranger's presence. Ethan slowly stood, respectfully stepping aside, his daughter holding tightly onto his hand. There was no fear in his eyes, only quiet sadness. Before Victoria could ask why he was there, Ethan gently explained that Daniel Hayes had once saved his life during a classified humanitarian rescue mission years before the helicopter crash. Daniel had never spoken publicly about the operation because it involved civilians trapped during an international disaster. Ethan explained that without Daniel's courage, he and dozens of innocent families would never have returned home. Victoria froze. Daniel had always been humble, often disappearing on mysterious charity trips without explaining where he went. She assumed he simply donated money. She never imagined he personally risked his life to rescue strangers. As Ethan continued, another secret emerged. During that dangerous mission, Daniel had quietly established an anonymous education fund for children who lost parents in disasters. Ethan only discovered years later that the fund paying for Lily's school supplies after her mother's death had come directly from Daniel. The billionaire widow felt tears forming. She had managed every financial record after Daniel died, yet she had never found those accounts because they had been intentionally hidden under confidential charitable foundations. For the first time since her husband's funeral, Victoria felt she was meeting the real Daniel again, not through memories, but through the lives he had quietly transformed. Over the following weeks, curiosity led Victoria back to the harbor where Ethan worked. She expected to find bitterness in a man who had lost almost everything. Instead, she found humility. Ethan repaired fishing boats with extraordinary care, often refusing payment from elderly fishermen who could barely afford repairs. He spent evenings coaching neighborhood children in swimming and water safety without charging a single dollar. His small home needed repairs, his truck constantly broke down, yet he never complained. Lily quickly became the brightest light in every room she entered. She greeted strangers with kindness her father had taught her despite life's hardships. Victoria found herself smiling again whenever Lily excitedly shared stories about school or proudly showed handmade drawings of her late mother. Something inside Victoria slowly awakened. The mansion no longer felt quite as empty. Meanwhile, Victoria quietly investigated Daniel's hidden humanitarian work. What she uncovered shocked her beyond imagination. Over 2 decades, Daniel had anonymously funded hundreds of scholarships, paid for surgeries, built schools in struggling communities, and rescued countless families from financial ruin without allowing anyone to know his name. Even Victoria, his wife, had only seen a fraction of the compassionate man he truly was. Instead of feeling betrayed, she felt inspired. She realized Daniel never wanted recognition. His greatest wealth had never been money, it had been kindness. Victoria decided that his legacy deserved to continue. She invited Ethan to help oversee a new charitable foundation dedicated to veterans, widows, and children who had lost parents in military service. At first Ethan refused. He believed someone with his modest background had no place leading a billion-dollar charity. But Victoria reminded him that true leadership wasn't measured by business experience. It was measured by character, compassion, and the willingness to serve others before yourself. Reluctantly, Ethan accepted. Their work transformed thousands of lives. Veterans struggling with homelessness found permanent housing. Military children received scholarships. Single parents received emergency financial assistance. Families who had nearly lost hope suddenly discovered people willing to stand beside them. News reporters praised Victoria for her generosity, believing she alone deserved the credit. Yet she always redirected attention toward the volunteers, veterans, and ordinary people performing extraordinary acts of kindness every day. As months passed, an unexpected friendship blossomed between Victoria and Ethan. It wasn't built on wealth or status but on shared grief, quiet understanding, and the desire to honor those they had loved. Lily often joked that the once lonely billionaire smiled more than anyone she had ever met. Even the employees at Victoria's company noticed their fearless CEO laughing again during meetings. One afternoon, while organizing Daniel's personal journals, Victoria discovered one final handwritten letter addressed simply, "To whoever finds purpose after me." Daniel wrote that true success would never be counted in dollars, buildings, or business awards. It would be measured by the number of lives changed through kindness. He hoped that if tragedy ever separated them, Victoria would not spend her future mourning his absence but multiplying his compassion. Victoria wept for hours. She realized Ethan's appearance at the cemetery had never been a coincidence. It had been the beginning of the next chapter Daniel had unknowingly prepared for both of them. Years later, the Daniel Hayes Foundation became one of America's largest organizations supporting military families and children facing unimaginable loss. Thousands of scholarships carried Daniel's name for the first time. Ethan continued leading programs with humility, while Victoria personally visited families instead of simply writing checks. Lily grew into a confident young woman determined to become a Navy doctor so she could serve others just as her father and Daniel once had. The grave where strangers first met no longer represented only death. Every anniversary, hundreds of families gathered there carrying flowers, handwritten letters, and stories of lives forever changed because one man chose quiet kindness over public applause. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, subscribe to Dot, and leave a comment telling us how one act of kindness has changed your own life. Your support allows us to continue bringing meaningful stories that remind the world hope still exists. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness never dies," if you believe one compassionate act can change someone's entire future. Victoria often returned to Daniel's grave, but she no longer came carrying only grief. She came carrying gratitude. The shocking truth Ethan revealed that unforgettable afternoon had not only uncovered the hidden life of her late husband, it had rescued her own heart from loneliness. Daniel's greatest gift was never the fortune he left behind. It was the simple lesson that kindness echoes long after we are gone, living forever in the hearts of those brave enough to pass it on.